Is there a plant in your permaculture garden that you absolutely love because it's helped you to get started? I'm Morag Gamble from the Permaculture Education Institute and Our Permaculture Life, and today in my garden for another Live at 5 I wanted to share with you my love for lemongrass. So this particular one is a West Indian lemongrass and this plant has helped me to get this permaculture garden started for a number of reasons. So firstly, I used it to create vegetative swales across my slope. So I had this blank slope to start with, nothing on here. So this was a rapidly growing plant that could create like a bit of a catch that would collect all the leaves and soil and material that was coming down the slope. And then as I chopped and dropped that material, it helped me to build soil on this slope, and it helped me to slow down and store the moisture that then I could start building and planting other gardens and other fruit trees. So lemongrass was helpful for that. It also helps to create like a vegetative hedge. What I noticed was that I was getting a lot of kangaroos and wallaby and deer coming in and eating things. Simply by creating boundaries out of this lemongrass, the animals didn't want to go in there. So it was a simple, quick living fence that I found very effective to help to not completely fence out the wildlife from this place, because I love to include them, but just to kind of redirect them in ways. Now, so it has those purposes of being useful in that way, but it's also a fantastic plant for the kitchen. So from this particular sample here, quite often I would just come, without actually taking this base out of the ground, snip off the tops and use this as a tea. Get rid of put those back into the soil and do a chop and a drop. So this is always used as a chop and drop, and just snip that up and add that into the tea. Now here where I live, it only really dies back for a few months over the winter time. So if you are in a cooler environment, you can still grow this, but it would die back more quickly. And so you probably want to do some drying of this to keep your supply of lemongrass tea all throughout the year. But I tend to just come out and get snips when I need it. And then you can mix this with ginger, or rosella is really nice. So the really red calyxes of the rosella makes an excellent combination. Really high vitamin C from the rosella and really great antibacterial and antiviral properties of this. So it's good for immune boosting, but also if you've got a cough or a cold. So and just refreshing too if you want even to add it into a normal tea. And the other bit, this bit here, if you peel back the outside leaves, this is where you get that bit that you put into lots of different sort of Asian cooking. So you can actually snap off the bottom bit of the root. Let's see if I can do that. There we are. And you just peel that off. Now, there's two different ways that you can use that. You can either slice it up very finely and add it into the cooking, or sprinkle it on top. Or what I tend to do is I just sort of bruise this to release the scent and the aroma out of the cells of the plant material, and just pop it into a soup or a stew or a curry or something like that. And so it's absolutely magnificent, mixed with coconut cream and chili and ginger and galangal and all those sorts of flavours that you can grow in and around with this plant as well. So to actually grow it, you need an end like this, something that's got some roots on it. So typically after a clump has got quite big, like the ones beside me here, so if you plant one in, after 6 months, 8 months, you get quite a big clump, and then you can divide it up. So I would tend to just chop that off to about that size, and if it's got a little piece of root, at least, not even that much, you could manage, then I just plant that into the ground about up to there, and then that will sprout. So you do that not now here in this part of the world. If you're in a warmer part of the world and you're heading into summer, it's a good time. But so what you'll find, if you plant this in a warm time, it will start to throw new shoots out of here, and before you know it, you'll have a nice new clump. So it's actually native to warmer, wet summer environments, but it is actually incredibly drought hardy too. So I find it exists really well out here in environments that I'm not doing any irrigation whatsoever. So it thrives when it rains, and it grows really big. If it starts to get these sort of rust tops, which some people sort of get a bit bothered by, that's the time when I just chop it back, mulch it, and then a whole lot of new growth comes up again. So it has a very high citral oil content, which if you have a home oil distiller, which you can actually get quite easily, you can make your own lemongrass oil. And that's particularly good for like a mosquito repellent, for example. But even just planting these in and around the home or near seating areas or along pathways, it's good. But what you need to do in order for it to be a good repellent, you need to just kind of bang it a bit to release the scent. If it's just sitting there and nothing's happening, it's not going to do anything for you. So, just planting it is not going to be a repellent. But the oil itself is very high content that of the citral oil, which will really help in that. And just going back to the erosion control potential of things like lemongrass, it's a really good one. But if you're on a very steep erodible slope, something like vetiver might even be better. But because it has these dense grassy roots, it can hold slopes really well, and also it can be like a living hedge that can help to stop running grassy weeds coming into your garden. So it's kind of like a weed barrier around the edge of your garden. So many different uses, from helping to improve the soil, to stabilise your slope, even to create a bit of afternoon shade for more sensitive plants beside it. So I just love this plant for so many different reasons. Now, I know that some of you are watching this from parts of the world where this may not be a plant that you can grow, even though you can grow it probably even in sort of temperate environments through to tropical environments, but maybe you're from a cooler area. I wonder what plants that you have in your part of the world that you rely on incredibly to get your permaculture systems going. If you've got any suggestions, toss them down below in the discussion. I'd love to hear it, and I'm sure other people who are watching this too would really value your comments and your input. And don't forget too, we have lots of resources down below that you can access to help you get a really thriving permaculture garden happening, and also a 4-part series about what is permaculture and how you can weave it into your life and livelihood. Okay, well, catch you again tomorrow, back in my garden for another Live at 5. Until then, stay safe, take care, see you later. So if to actually grow it, I lost my sack.